In the quiet halls of the mountain monastery, where the incense smoke curls like the tails of sleeping dragons, the elder master of the Jade Stream once inscribed a truth upon a bamboo scroll that has outlasted the dynasties of men. He wrote that the sage does not accumulate for himself, for he knows that the universe is a vessel that is never truly empty. The more he gives to those who walk beside him, the more he finds his own hands filled with the grace of the heavens. The more he labors for the well-being of the village and the harmony of the valley, the richer his spirit becomes, transcending the heavy weight of gold and the fleeting shimmer of silk. This is the way of the flowing water, which seeks the lowest places and yet nourishes every root and flower along its path. To understand this mystery, let us sit by the hearth and contemplate a simple task. I ask you now, as the wind whistles through the bamboo grove, do not think of the great white crane that nests upon the highest peak of the Kunlun Mountains. Do not picture its feathers, white as the winter snow, nor its long, elegant neck, nor the way its wings span the horizon like clouds at dusk. Try with all your might to banish the great white crane from the sanctuary of your mind. Do not let its image settle in your thoughts, and do not imagine it standing before you in all its regal splendor. You find it impossible, do you not? The very moment you exert your will to cast the bird away, it becomes more vivid, its cry echoing in your ears, its presence filling the room until it is more real than the tea in your cup. The harder you fight to eliminate the thought, the more stubbornly it persists, like a shadow that grows longer as the sun sets. This is not merely a trick of the wandering mind. It is the manifestation of the law of the inversion, a truth that governs the stars and the tides alike. The master of the western wind once spoke of this as the law of the backwards path. The scholar of the sorrowful willow referred to it as the paradox of the resolute will. Even the ancient keepers of the way called it Wu Wei, or the art of effortless action. All these voices, though separated by vast oceans and many lifetimes, speak of a singular truth about our existence in this world of 10,000 things. The more we pursue a thing with a frantic heart, the more we achieve the very opposite of what we truly desire. The harder we strain to grasp the moon's reflection in the pond, the more we disturb the water, causing the light to shatter into 1,000 pieces. In the simplest of terms, the sage knows that by trying less, one often attains more. Conversely, when the heart finally ceases its desperate striving, that which was sought often arrives of its own accord, like a cat that comes to sit by the fire only when it is no longer being called. This seems a strange and foolish notion to those who dwell in the noisy marketplaces and the busy courts of the emperor. We live in a world that bows before the altar of great effort and unyielding toil. The merchants tell us to work harder, the generals tell us to push forward with more force, and the scholars tell us to fill our heads with more scrolls until we have mastered the world through sheer strength of will. In the realm of the physical, this may indeed bear fruit. If one wishes to fill a granary with rice, the labor of the harvest is required. If one wishes to walk 1,000 li to the Great Wall, one must build the stamina of the legs and the resolve of the spirit. But the law of the inversion does not concern itself with the stacking of bricks or the tilling of soil. It is a law of the soul, transcending the worldly achievements that fade like mist in the morning sun. It is about attaining that which the heart truly seeks, beneath all the layers of masks and pretenses we wear in the light of day. What is it that we truly chase? Is it the heavy chests of jade? Is it the whispered praises of the court, or the power to command 1,000 chariots? Even though such things bring a fleeting warmth to the skin, they are but hollow echoes of the true prize. They are the ornaments we mistake for the temple itself. As the law of the inversion reveals, the more we seek these external ornaments, the less we find of the peace we crave. The further we run toward the horizon in search of satisfaction, the further we remove ourselves from the quiet center where satisfaction resides. We say we desire happiness, yet what is this happiness we speak of? Is it a garment we can buy from a traveling merchant, or a fruit we can pluck from a neighbor's garden? The master of the western wind taught that we do not know what we truly want because we have never looked at the one who is wanting. He said that you do not truly know your desire for 2 reasons. First, because you already possess the essence of what you seek, and second, because you can never truly turn your eye upon your own soul as an object of study. The divine spark within is never an object of its own knowledge, just as the sharpest sword cannot cut its own edge, and the brightest fire cannot burn its own flames. The sun does not illuminate itself, for it is the very source of light. Could it be that the peace we seek is obscured by the very act of searching? We are like a man who carries a lantern in the darkness, looking for the light. Why do we persist in this endless pursuit that never fills the well? Why this constant reaching beyond the present moment, as if the future held a secret that the now does not possess? The human condition is often a collective dream, a delusion that tells us that by changing our circumstances or acquiring more jade, we will finally be released from the gnawing sense of lack that haunts our dreams. The law of the inversion shows us that the opposite is the truth of the matter. We feel this lack precisely because we are discontented with the present season. The greater our hunger for change, the more we suffer in the hunger itself. The more we believe we need to be elsewhere to be content, the less content we are where we stand. Imagine a young merchant in the city of Chang'an who vows to become the wealthiest man in the province, believing that only then will his heart find rest. By setting such a distant and lofty goal, he not only commits himself to a life of exhausting labor, but he also ensures his own misery in the present. Every day that he is not the wealthiest man is a day of failure. He looks at his modest home and feels shame. He looks at his copper coins and sees only poverty. As the chronicler of the empty vessel once noted, the desperate pursuit of wealth only reinforces the inner conviction that one is poor and unworthy. No matter how many gold bars he stacks in his cellar, the feeling of inadequacy remains, for the goalpost of his happiness is always one step further than his reach. If he were to lower his gaze and see the beauty of the wildflowers by the road, his feeling of lack would vanish, for the distance between where he stands and where he wishes to be would disappear. Yet, we choose to set the bar high, far above our current station, and by doing so, we sharpen the very thorn that pricks our side. We maintain the itch by the very act of scratching it, hoping to eliminate the discomfort while only making the skin raw and inflamed. This tendency to seek more as a cure for the itch, while simultaneously keeping the itch alive through the pursuit, is a tragedy observed by the scholar of the sorrowful willow. He concluded that we are driven by an illogical and directionless force, a will to live that is never satisfied. This will is a constant striving that leads to a life of suffering, a thirst that cannot be quenched by any water the world has to offer. Because of this pattern, we want more than we could ever need, driven by an incessant sense that something is missing from the bowl of our life. The mind perceives a void because it refuses to believe that the present moment, with all its flaws, is enough. And so, we escape into the mountain passes of the future, searching for a pleasure that we hope will last. But when we arrive at that future, we find ourselves standing in the same weary skin, with the same restless heart we tried to leave behind. Every keen pleasure is but a temporary illusion, for no attained wish can give a lasting peace to a mind that is built on the foundation of wanting. The pursuit itself is the barrier to the arrival. The seeking is the veil that hides the sought. The scholar argued that the only way to find true contentment is through the negation of this restless will, leading to a blissful state of emptiness where the striving ceases. In the words of the ancient texts, stop trying to get it, and you will find that you have it already. The Tao Te Ching describes a man who does not store up treasures and therefore possesses a superabundance that the world cannot take away. He appears solitary, yet he is surrounded by the harmony of the spheres. He is easy and leisurely, wasting nothing of his spirit on the frantic schemes of the clever. While others run through the streets in search of joy, he remains complete in his imperfect condition, unchanged by the shifting winds of fortune. If you accept your imperfections, you will find a strange perfection in your being. If you accept your loneliness, you will find that you are never truly alone in the silence of the woods. But if you try to be perfect, you will only see your flaws. If you fight against your loneliness, you will be miserable even in a crowded hall. To accept a negative experience is, in itself, a positive experience, for it is an act of courage and honesty. But to fight against a negative experience is to suffer twice, once from the pain itself, and once from the resistance to that pain. This is double suffering, a heavy burden that no man needs to carry. The master of the western wind reminded us that when you try to stay on the surface of the water by thrashing your limbs, you sink like a stone. But when you relax and allow yourself to sink, the water holds you up and you float. In the same way, when you try too hard to fall asleep, the very effort keeps the mind awake and restless. Only when you give up the struggle do you drift into the world of dreams. When you hold your breath, you lose it. When you let it go, it returns to you, sustaining your life without effort. When we stop trying to be happy, we find that happiness was always there, waiting in the gaps between our thoughts. When we stop trying to be rich, we find ourselves living in abundance, for we are content with the tea in our cup and the roof over our head. Anything that comes after that is but a bonus from the heavens. Thus, the only way to truly have what we want is to lose the desperate wanting of it. This is the lesson of the pond with the cloudy water. Imagine you stand before a pool that has been stirred by the wind or the feet of cattle, making the water dark with silt. You wish to see the golden carp at the bottom, but the more you reach in with your hands to push the mud away, the cloudier the water becomes. You cannot force the silt to settle with your strength. The only way to see the floor of the pond is to do nothing. You must sit on the bank and wait. You must let the water be, and in time, the cloudiness will subside, the mud will sink to the bottom, and the water will become clear as crystal. The cloudiness represents our desires, our frantic thoughts, and our constant dissatisfaction with the now. The stirring of the water is our desperate grasping for a happiness that we think is hidden. The sight of the golden carp is contentment, which only reveals itself when we leave the water alone. Stop trying to find the clarity, and the clarity will find you. This does not mean that a man should have no purpose, nor that the farmer should stop planting his seeds. There are many reasons to seek change and to improve the world around us. However, the law of the inversion teaches us not to be fooled by the illusion that the pursuit of happiness is the road that leads to it. It is quite the opposite. With this wisdom, we can enter a state of grace where we no longer demand that the world be different than it is. The mystery of our life is not a riddle to be solved by the intellect, but a reality to be experienced by the heart. Stop trying to experience it, and the experience will wash over you like a mountain stream. Stop trying to solve the riddle, and the understanding will blossom like a lotus in the sun. Happiness is what remains when the trying ceases. The great white crane disappears from your mind the moment you stop trying to banish it. The water clears when you stop stirring it. Contentment arrives when you stop demanding it from the world. This is the law that governs the sage and the peasant alike. This is why the one who does the least often achieves the most. It is not because effort is a vice, but because the things we truly crave, peace, joy, and the sense of being home, cannot be hunted down like a stag in the forest. They can only be invited in through the quiet door of release and the gentle art of letting go. In the stillness of the heart, the Tao is found.